Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here is another speed build for you today. My name is KiwiSimsKate because I'm a Kiwi from New Zealand. I love The Sims and my name is Kate. It's as simple as that. Today I am bringing you a family build, and this build took me a long time. It was quite a few hours of editing, footage of me building, and I just have to say right off the bat that I apologize. I had to cut a bit of footage out for the speed build. Otherwise, honestly, I couldn't have called it a speed build. It's so many hours of footage. It took me so long. Not because I found it difficult. I actually really enjoyed building this home. It was more because I think because I was having so much fun and I was looking through all the objects and really wanted to make it um, really great. And I am really happy with how it turned out. I'm quite proud of this build, if I do say so myself. So today I am bringing you a family build. It's kind of a craftsman-style home, I suppose. They're not particularly common in New Zealand, probably more common in North America, but I love this style of home. It just feels very cozy, homely, super family oriented, and I imagine that the family who lives here is just that. They love to spend time together. They spend a lot of time outside in the backyard. I do eventually get to the landscaping near the end of the build. It's not a huge garden. I didn't use the entire lot. I actually made it a bit smaller than what the lot could hold. I just wanted it to stay a bit cozy. I didn't imagine this family was extravagant or rich or anything like that, but they still, had enough to provide for the family, and there are some kids activities and there's some gardening. I imagine the mum did a lot of gardening and maybe worked from home or was a stay-at-home mum, and then I also placed a study downstairs or an office, and I built that because I kind of imagined the father maybe as a psychiatrist. So there's a sort of a psychiatrist office downstairs, and there's also an entrance to the room from the exterior of the house. So if he had clients that visited his home office, they didn't have to walk through the family home. This home has one master bedroom with an ensuite and a nursery for a baby, and a room for a toddler, and two children's rooms. One of the children's rooms I placed bunk beds, so you could easily add another kid. You could also obviously turn any of the rooms into any aged kids' rooms. They're pretty versatile. The way I decorated them, I imagined that there were two children, one toddler, and one baby. Really love the way the nursery turned out. I feel like nurseries are kind of difficult to do in The Sims because we have really limited options. So I do tend to use the same kind of things over and over again. But I think I managed to kind of mix it up a little bit in this. It's quite a small room. It's also not at the edge of the home, so it doesn't actually have any windows, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to turn it into a nursery as opposed to any other child's home. It's quite small, so I mean the Sims babies don't stay babies for very long, so it's not real life. They'll be fine without a window. Also, the nursery has a door just out to the corridor, but also a door through to the parents' ensuite bathroom. So just for easy access of the parents, so that if the baby wakes during the night, starts crying, they can just go straight through their ensuite and into the nursery. But I'm just working on the exterior here, and as I said, I had a lot of fun building this. I loved the use of the brick and the dark wood tones. I know a lot of people are building a lot of autumn builds at the moment. A lot of my sort of online friends who are also simmers in North America or other parts of the Northern Hemisphere, they're really having a lot of fun with autumn builds or fall builds. And it's not autumn here. So in New Zealand, we're in the Southern Hemisphere, so we have the opposite seasons. And I didn't want to make this build too autumn feeling because I still wanted to, reflect the season that I live in. But I did place some Halloween decorations around, and I still think that because of the colours of the build, it does feel a little autumny. So you could probably just take this and I don't know, inject a little more autumn into it if you wanted something that was super autumn feeling. And other than that, I placed some Halloween decorations around just because even though we're in spring, we still do have Halloween in October. I loved adding all of the plant decor in this build as well, and the kind of ivy growing up all the walls. I just think it makes so much difference when you look at the exterior of a build in The Sims. This house I think it would look a lot more plain if you took away all the planter boxes, all of the greenery growing up the sides of the home, all of the front landscaping. If you took all of that away and stripped it back, that I think would make for a much less interesting home. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned while I have built over the years, is that the details are really the key on a home when you're building in The Sims. Anyone can sort of place down a few squares, a few boxes, a front door, some windows, and some roofing. But don't get me started on roofing. Roofing is such a pain sometimes. But that's quite simple. But for me, what I really love to see in builds are the details in the exterior of the house. So the things like the wall lights, or the shape of the porch, or I don't know what they're called, but the kind of the wooden structures under the eaves of the roofs, windows in the roof sections, planter boxes. A mix and match of materials as well, I think, is really interesting. So you'll see I kind of started with more or less the whole house being in the same brick, and near the top it was a white wood. And then I changed it up a bit. I changed some of the walls to be a kind of burnt orange timber. And once I did that, it just gave a lot more life to the build and to the home, and it made it look so much more interesting. So I think those little touches really, really help. And then obviously cluttering up things like the porch or all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I add a few Halloween decorations to the front door and also to the front mailbox. But I think from memory, I keep the Halloween decorations mostly to the outside areas in this build. Except for, no, in the entranceway, just inside the front door, I think I also place a pumpkin. But other than that, it's just outdoor Halloween decorations. So you can easily take those out, and this would be a build for any other time of the year, I think. So I tried not to go overboard in case you're not a Halloween person, or you're in a different hemisphere like myself where it's not autumn right now. And then after the exterior, I move to the interior, and as usual, I start with the kitchen. I really like starting with the kitchen. I feel like it is kind of the heart of the home in a lot of places, or at least for a lot of people I speak to, especially when it comes to a family home. It's where people congregate, where they eat. People are there all the time, in and out, all times of the day. So, I often start with the kitchen in my Sims builds. And it kind of gives me the feel of how I want to decorate the rest of the home. The tiles in the kitchen, and what kind of counters am I going to use? Is it going to be country, or is it going to be modern, or so I almost always start with the kitchen and dining area if I'm adding one. So the kitchen that I built for this home is very homely, is a little country, but not overly country, but slightly rustic, family oriented. And I actually increased the size of the kitchen, and I think I might even do it off recording. So if you download this build, and it will be available on the gallery under my ID KiwiSimsKate. If you do want to download this build, the kitchen will be slightly bigger. So I do apologize for the slightly mismatched video versus what you'll receive in the end, but it's good news. It's bigger rather than smaller, so you get about another tile width of the kitchen. I just felt like it was a little too small. I didn't quite realize how many rooms I was going to have in this house, how many bedrooms. So once I moved upstairs to build, and I realized I was going to have 4 children and potentially 2 adults in this house, and then also I add some pet things, so I imagined there was a cat and a dog. Once I got all that stuff in, at the end I did go back and make it a bit wider because it was starting to feel just a little cramped, and I wanted loads of kitchen space. And in case you wanted to add a lot of clutter too, I don't actually add a ton of clutter to the kitchen. I sort of feel like, yes, it's a busy household, but they probably try and keep the kitchen as clean and clear as possible all the time so that it doesn't get overrun with things. And also beside the kitchen, I really love the little back entranceway, sort of a mud room area. And this is where people are coming in and out all the time. So there's places to hang the dog's leash and coats and place your shoes. I put a few different storagey type items there and just cluttered it up as well. I also created a separate laundry right beside the kitchen and dining area where there's a washer and a dryer, but I also give this family a washing line outside as well as a dryer, so you can kind of just decide which you want to use. I figured maybe in the summer they hang their clothes up outside, but in the winter they use their dryer. This laundry as well does go through a few changes. So because this took me so long to build, I did change up a few things, and therefore unfortunately couldn't keep everything in this final video because it just would have ended up being way too long and nobody would have wanted to watch it. So the laundry does change around a little bit. I can't remember if I keep the footage in this video a bit later, but I shuffle things around just to be able to fit a pet door, because that's something I always forget to add in my homes if I'm adding pet bowls, or if I'm building the home with a pet in mind. I often forget to add a pet door, or just don't get around to it, or it doesn't fit because there's only a very finite number of options for pet doors. So maybe it doesn't fit with the aesthetic that I've created. So in this one, I really wanted to use one, and it goes through the laundry. And so I did have to rearrange things a little bit to fit the pet door, and then also a litter tray in there for the cat. I place 2 pet bowls beside each other just near the dining room as well. And the dining room, I just want to say, I love so much. I love the colors. I love that sort of dark orange wood color. I love the kitchen hutch. And I love the chairs that I placed there. Those are one of my favorite dining chairs in the whole game. And that table, actually. The table is from Seasons, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't want to clutter the dining room too much either, because it's sort of a narrow space, but I do get a few things on the dining room hutch. And then I move over to the living room, which was a huge room to begin with, and I was kind of worried I wouldn't be able to fill it very well, like it would kind of feel empty or way too cluttered. But again, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's busy and it doesn't look empty, but it's not too cluttered. So there's plenty of space for your Sims to sort of walk around things and get around. I did play test this build, by the way. So I think I'm about 85 to 90% sure that you shouldn't have any issues. I may have missed some things, and if I do, I'm really sorry. There may be things that you might need to shuffle around in build mode if you download this home. But when I went through and play tested it, I did realize that a couple of things needed moving. In this living room, I did have to shuffle around the pet bed that I place a couple of times to get for the sim to be able to light the fire. So it should work on the build from the gallery, I think. Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. If there are anything any little things that I've missed, I do apologize. But it was a big build, and it even took me ages just to go through and play test everything. So I tried my best. And then in the entranceway to the home, I just make a really cluttered, family-looking space. A lot of coats. I did this sort of trick with, I think it looks okay, with the the entranceway coat racks, I guess. I don't know, those sort of built-in looking pieces. I think they came with Seasons. And then also layering over the coat rack that came with Snowy Escape, and also the base game hanging clothes clutter. And I think when you look at it, it doesn't, it sort of looks okay, in my opinion, at least. If you don't like it, you can always take those items that I layered on top away. I just felt like it looked a bit bare without them, and I think it looks okay with them. I liked it anyway. And then I move on to the office, which I really loved as well. My first sort of version of this office, I didn't have a door going to the outside. I just had that door that you can kind of see in some of the footage from the laundry room on that side of the house. And I was thinking clients and things would probably just come through the front door of the house and then straight into the door that's to the left. And then when I was actually showing someone my build, they were saying, oh, if it's a home office, shouldn't they really have access from, directly from outside? Because otherwise, in real life, it's kind of a little bit awkward. I mean, I've been to places where, businesses have been run out of their home, and is weird when you're having to walk through these people's private space to get to another room in the house. So, so I took that on board, and after creating this gorgeous office, I change it all around again. But I don't take away anything, I don't believe, other than the window, which is just replaced by a door. So I keep the door going through to the main home, and then I just add a door on the exterior of the house. And when I did it, I prefer the layout after I changed it. So I'm really, really glad I got that suggestion, and I'm glad I did it, because I was almost a little too stubborn, and I knew this build was going to take me so long, and I almost didn't do it. So I'm really glad that I listened to that advice and I switched things around, because I think it actually flows better the way I have it anyway. And I changed the desk to kind of be on an angle in the corner as opposed to across the room, so it gives you a little bit more floor space. And there's also that new plant that I love so much, that I think came with Dream Home Decorator, did it? I think it's a rubber plant, and I use it everywhere. I think I use it a few times in this build, but I use that at the end of the kind of lounge sofa in that office. But I do have to, I either move it or I remove it, because it's really strange, the animation that your sim does when they have to lie on those sofas, those long lounger sofas. They get on at the end, and they kind of like on all fours crawl along until they get to the top of the sofa and then lie down, or lay their legs out straight. It is the weirdest thing to watch. If you haven't placed one of those sofas and got your sim to sit on it, you have to do that and just look at the ridiculousness. I mean, it's the weirdest animation ever. So anyway, you can't place anything at the end of those sofas, because your sim will then not be able to crawl on all fours to sit on it. So I think I removed the plant. I didn't move it to another spot. I can't remember now. Anyway, I had to move it from where it was. And then I move upstairs. I leave a couple of things downstairs till last, and then I just move upstairs to the bedrooms. So I do the family bathroom first, which has got a double sink, a shower tub, a toilet. And what I have cut out is I actually added another separate toilet room with just a toilet and a sink, so half bath, and that's right beside the family bathroom, but it has its own room with its own door. So there's a toilet at the family bathroom and a toilet on its own. And also, I may as well mention now that downstairs, right beside the staircase, and between the staircase and the playroom, which you'll see me build a little later, I also added another half bath, because when I was play testing, and I didn't capture that on any footage, I'm afraid, because when I was play testing this build, I was moving my sim around on the ground floor, doing things in the kitchen, the living room, outside in the bathroom, and they really needed to go to the toilet, and I realized I don't have a toilet anywhere on the ground floor. And it was always my intention to place one, and I usually do. I kind of always assume I'm going to put a toilet if there's a double-story home or a double-story building, just because it's so much more convenient. It takes so long for your Sims, to walk up the stairs and get anywhere. So if they, to avoid any terrible accidents, I always place the toilet on the ground floor. So I don't know why I forgot this time, but after I record, I do end up just squeezing a toilet and a sink just beside the staircase. So you will have that on your ground floor, but unfortunately you won't see it either in the video here or in the screenshots. I do apologize. So there's plenty of toilets in this build. There's your toilet in your family bathroom upstairs, your toilet beside the family bathroom, your toilet in the ensuite of the master bedroom, and your toilet downstairs. 4 toilets. But I figured that's better than the annoying thing that happens in The Sims when someone's in the bathroom and they're just washing their hands and someone walks in to go to the toilet and there's all, they get the embarrassing moodlet and it's just a thing. And yeah, I wanted to try and avoid that. So you got plenty of toilets to send your Sims to. I then start to decorate all the bedrooms. So I start with the master bedroom, which I adore. I'm so happy with. One thing that again is in the build but is missed out of the speed build is a pet bed. So I do go in afterwards when I play test it and place a pet bed in the master bedroom just at the foot of the double bed. And I think that's it. Everything else is basically the same. I love the kind of yellow and brown color scheme of the parents' room. You also would have seen me decorate the nursery, which I love to bits. So gorgeous. And then I move on to the toddler's room and the 2 children's room. And I tried to keep it to, like 1 or 2 themes per room. So one of the children has a kind of black and purple space theme. That's the one with the bunk beds. And then the other child has a kind of blue cat theme, blue and orange cat theme. I imagine they were really into cats, and the cat that this family has probably sleeps in their room every now and then. So I placed a cat bed in there. And then the toddler's room, oh, I love it so much. It's so cute. It's the kind of green forest animal theme. So I size up that rug with the pine trees and use a lot of green. I think the wallpapers are green. And animals, lots of cool animals in there. And then I move downstairs again and I build the playroom, which is something I don't usually do in builds. Normally I don't have the space, the luxury of such a huge build. But in this one, I was thinking, well, I've built this gigantic home. What am I going to fill it with? Here's a room. I need to put something in it. They've got 4 children, so let's build them a really cool playroom. Again, it's pretty fancy, right, to have a playroom dedicated to children's toys in a home. Like, I feel like you've got to have a bit of money in order to have that in your house. So I do think this family's fairly well off, but they definitely are not kind of super wealthy, and they don't flaunt their money. They're more, they invest it back into their family or into their garden or into maybe, the dad's psychiatry business or something. But to have a kid's playroom is pretty fancy, I think. So I just stack it with cool things. It's kind of a purple blue vibe, yellowy, purple blue yellow. I use the Don't Wake the Llama table. I use the puppet theatre, which I never use. I never have the space, or I just feel like it doesn't fit. So the puppet theatre went really well. Maybe like the parents made it for them or something. I imagine that the mother is pretty crafty. I've placed the crochet kit and the knitting kit around the house. So I imagine she does a lot of that. Maybe she makes a lot of the kids' clothing, and she does lots of gardening. Those are kind of her 2 main hobbies, crafty stuff and gardening. And what else do I place in the playroom? Oh, a little kids' activity table as well. And I clutter up the shelves above it, which I use the shelves from Nifting Knitting, I believe. And because the colour went so well, the yellow, and I used a sort of a side table from that pack too to clutter up, because the yellow goes with a few of the other things. And I don't think I placed the cluttering of the shelves really in this video. I had to cut that out, I'm afraid. So I guess it's a little surprise for you. If you download this build, you can maybe you can count up all the things that Kate left out of the video and let me know below in the comments. I do always want to try and leave everything in for you all, because I know for me, I get a lot of inspiration watching other people's speed builds. And obviously, if you're not seeing everything from the speed build, there are tips or tricks that you might be missing. So I know it's really annoying, but I don't want you to sit through a 1-hour video. So I don't want to be doing it this way. And I'm hoping I'm going to get faster at building. I'm just at the moment, as I'm learning and getting a bit better at my speed builds, I'm a little slow. And this house would not be nearly as cool as it was if I didn't spend hours building it. I would have just made decisions I probably wasn't like 100% happy with. The last sort of thing I work on is the exterior, the landscaping. As I said, I wanted this to have a bit of a garden, nothing too extravagant. So I've given them 2 cars. Obviously the cars are from the debug menu, so you can't use them. I know a lot of people really want cars in The Sims. For me, it's not really necessarily something I need. I don't do a ton of gameplay anyway. I just like having them from the debug menu really to place, and for it to have the idea that there are cars. That's kind of good enough for me. So I give them a garage. A family home to me needs a garage with a lot of storage and a lot of clutter and all sorts of things that they've stored over the years, and old baby clothes, or just loads. And also because I imagine there's a gardener in the family, so I place a bunch of gardening clutter. They probably use this space as their work area to repot items, or I placed a bunch of vegetables and fruit in the garden as well after I built this, and so I don't know if they appear when you download from the gallery though, I'm afraid. They may or may not, but they probably use this space to prepare their vegetables or their fruit for the show in Henford-on-Bagley maybe. Maybe they enter their fruit and vegetables into competitions. And I place a swing set in the garden, a pumpkin carving table for Halloween. I've never actually used that myself in gameplay, but I did when I play tested this, so that was really fun. A little seating area, barbecue, a little picnic table for the family so they can use that in the summertime. And that's basically it. In the front, I leave it really simple, just some hedging, some hydrangeas, and I think, do I add lavender? I love the lavender. I often use like the same landscaping items again and again and again, the same kind of trees, and unless I'm doing a super specific themed build, like a spooky build or whatever, I pretty much always use the same items because they're my favorites. So if you see them again and again and again, that is why. But I love the way the garden turned out. I think it's really cute, and it looks like a busy family lives there. And I've given them a bunch of bicycles, so maybe they go on like cute family bicycle trips everywhere. That would be adorable if you could actually send your family off cycling together. That'd be so cute. So that's pretty much it, I think, for this build. Few more flowers here and there. That's it. Screenshots will be here shortly. If you want to download this build, my gallery ID is KiwiSimsKate, and you can find this and all my other builds there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You can catch all of my future videos here on YouTube. You can also follow me on my other socials, Twitch, Twitter and Instagram, all of those at KiwiSimsKate. Thank you so much for watching and take care out there. Bye!